Good. Good to see you again. I'm well, thank you. It's great to see you again. It was wonderful to see you at the event.
Yes. And you're back home ready for Christmas?
I am. I'm back in Dallas, Texas, and I love your backdrop.
Thank you. Yes, Jim, you have a lot of experience in a wide range of areas, not only experience, also some areas where you have probably you would call it interest. So the role as a CEO, 7-Eleven, Blockbusters, everyone knows. But maybe more interesting is you're very much into the topic as an educator. You wrote the book, Education is Freedom. I love
Yeah,
it very much.
thank
And you're also an artist, and one passion is being a pilot, not only for private planes, also for helicopters and seaplanes. Is that correct?
yes, yes.
Yes.
I
So,
trained
and
in Lake Como. I trained for
oh,
seaplane.
right. Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love this is my favorite lake in Europe.
Oh,
Lake Como.
it's so fun. And when you're training, you get to fly up into the Alps and find these pristine little glassy landing lakes, and then have lunch, and then come back
Wow.
to Como.
That
It's
sounds outstanding.
beautiful
Yeah.
experience. Yeah.
Yeah, this we can catch up later on with I have some questions about your wow moments, but before I forget, I would like to know because you're also into AI, is that correct?
Yes.
How would you design an AI-based educational system that combines your principles of your book, Education is Freedom?
Ben, thank you for asking that question, because that is a passion, and yes, I have a lot of outside interests, but I truly believe that education is the answer to every problem that humanity faces in the world. And I know it's an over exaggeration, it seems, but if you think about the cycle of negativity and fear, it all stems from ignorance. If you don't know something, you're afraid of it. And if you have fear, you lead to anger, and anger leads to violence and hate. And all of that can be reversed if we really focus on elevating humanity with knowledge, because knowledge is the antidote to fear. It's really
Yeah.
that's so what would I do? I have been the beneficiary of technology in transforming entire industries like retail. We use technology to completely transform 7-Eleven and provide convenience to customers all over the world in 80,000 stores. I recognize that also the power of scale. And that scale, in other words, the massive number of young people that need education, makes the cost of technology nominal. So, for example, in the United States, we have 55 million public school kids. If we were to build the internet of ed tech, in other words, imagine, if you will, a closed loop system where you can provide a child any device and say, have at it. I don't care where you go, what you look at. In fact, I don't care how long you spend on your device. I want you to get in there and have fun, because learning should be fun. And in that environment, they have access to every ed platform, from Google Learning or Google Classroom to LinkedIn Learning to anybody who builds an education platform. They have the ability to be measured for their success. They can level up as they do in video games. The more they work, the more they study, the more they level up. We can incentivize them with micro scholarships. Instead of giving a scholarship at the end of their career, we can start when they're in the sixth grade and give them 20 cents at a time, and reward them. Instead of giving them badges or hats for their avatar, give them money for the future of their education. And all of these things are possible in a world where we can use technology. And then finally, the power of AI. When you overlay AI into this world, into this safe environment for knowledge, for learning with the use of technology, if you have this capability, then there are no more outliers. In other words, In the old system we built for the machine age, it was massive standardization. So it was mass production of an educated workforce, basically. And if you didn't meet the criteria, if you fell this far outside of that standard curve, if you had dyslexia, ADHD, any learning disability, you're done. You were relegated to those who can't learn. Maybe you find something else to do. In this world, you can use machine learning to enhance human learning. So I'll give you an example of how that works. When we first had autonomous vehicles, we created software for the cars to drive, but it was humans making the rules for how to stay on the road and not crash into something. And it wasn't working. We were hitting people. We were running off roads. It was terrible. And then finally, we woke up one day and said, let's take away the rules. Let's let the machine teach the machine. Let's let it learn from experience. And it learned faster than with our rules. So if we take away the rules for how we should teach and learn and let the machine decide how to adapt the learning, we're teaching a young person algebra, and that machine is going to reteach and reteach and reteach based on the way that that student is learning it best, to the point that it's machine learning that will enhance human learning at an accelerated rate. To the point, do I worry about machines taking over? No, because I'm excited about the potential of human learning to exponentially improve.
Wow.
That's the
Yeah,
vision.
yeah, very, very good points. And adapting it to, let's say, a smaller company like we have, and people are, yeah, know who they are, and there's something new they don't know. How would you approach your team in order to get them learning what AI can do for them, what can simplify their life or increase the efficiency and stuff like that? How would you, yeah, intensify or start this endeavor?
The starting point, I think, is, as with any learning, eliminating the fear.
Yeah.
We're all afraid of things we don't know. So the first time you have exposure to AI, you go, oh my goodness, this is terrifying.
Yeah.
And then the more you use it, the more you see the utility. So what I would suggest with a team, it's the same thing I suggest with all my friends. Get in and try, play, have fun.
Just do it.
Yeah, experiment.
Yeah.
The more you do, you find it's very addictive because you realize the power of this tool. Write a poem for your friends. Write a song. Ask AI to help you write a song. And you'll say, oh my goodness, I didn't know I was a songwriter. No,
Wow.
it's not AI doing it. AI will only respond to your prompts. So you still have to feed the things you want to communicate. I want to write a song for my friend, and these are the things I want to say.
Yeah.
And AI will come back with the most beautiful composition. And those are the things that I'll give you my favorite quote from Einstein. This is a creative process that we often forget as part of the learning process. But Einstein said, intelligence is, or creativity is intelligence having fun. So that's my recommendation. Turn your team loose with AI, but do it in a creative way so that their intelligence has fun.
Yeah. And then they want to stick to it and want to do more and get more. Yeah.
Exactly.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That is really helpful. So, since we are creating experiences with our company, I like to know two different wow moments in your life. One, let's say in the negative way, where you didn't expect that, let's say, bad situation. And on the other hand, where you had an experience, wow, that was outstanding. I didn't expect it.
Excuse me. That's a tall order. I've had so many wow moments, both sides.
Yeah.
It's a tough one. I guess I'll share with you a wow moment, a negative wow moment. Coming home from school one day, I think I mentioned this in the event that we were at. I came home from school one day and I saw a sign posted on the door of my home,
Yeah.
and it's a red sign and it said condemned, and I didn't know what that word meant. I had to literally look it up. And we had to, of course, my life was completely disrupted. They had condemned our home, and my father went off to a veterans hospital, and my mother had already left, and I was pretty much on my own, forced to go live with a brother and his wife at the time until they could figure out where I was going to go, what I was going to do. It's like 10 years
Mhm.
old. But that wow moment, that negative wow moment, turned into what I credit today the opportunity for me to have a what I call my secret weapon, a recognition that adversity is my strength. It was what gave me the resilience, the determination, the drive that I have today, because I realized that wow moment, there was no safety net. There was no
Yeah.
one there to catch me. But it
That's
built
you.
in me a sense of fierce independence that I still have today.
Yeah.
So that was my wow negative moment.
Yeah, which turned in a good one.
Turned into a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, wow positive moment. Um, I was inducted into uh, an organization called the Horatio Alger Group, and it recognized people who have come from humble beginnings and have accomplished great things. So I was on stage in Washington, D.C. With Buzz Aldrin. He was one of a
Wow.
small group of inductees into this organization. And the irony was that one of my motivations as a child was watching Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong walk on the moon. I was at Boy Scout camp
Okay.
and watching these ordinary people do extraordinary things,
Mhm.
which empowered me as a child. I said, well, if they can walk on the moon, these aren't rich kids, these aren't privileged people. These are just regular guys that worked really hard and learned. And that inspired me to learn. So I was able to stand on stage and to thank Buzz Aldrin for inspiring me as a child to be one of those ordinary guys that got to do extraordinary things. That was one of the good wow moments.
Wow. Yeah. And that was years later, basically.
Oh yeah, yeah, many years later. That was
Yeah.
20, 30 years later.
Wow. Great.
Yeah.
So I thank you so much for your time and insights. And yeah, it's really inspiring. And I look forward to meet you someday, somewhere again, and get even maybe more in details how we can, yeah, spread the word, how important it is to educate oneself. So is there a website where can people can pick up your book, or it's just go on Amazon and go for Education is Freedom?
Yes, they can do that, or educationisfreedombook.com is
Okay.
also a place they can find it and buy it, or my personal website, jameswkeys.com. They can find me there and more about me and more about the book. And you'll find, Sven, that I'm also a Formula One fan. I, I sit on the board of Andretti Ventures, which is one of the Mario and Michael Andretti companies. And they are now they're going to be one of the newest entries in Formula One.
Wow, that would be a nice topic to talk about as well.
Yeah, yeah, I'll come back and we'll talk more about racing. It's a lot of fun.
Cool. Okay, thank you so much, and
Okay,
have
Sven,
a nice afternoon, and Merry Christmas and all the best for next year.
and Merry Christmas to you and all of your friends.